Ever wish you could, like, borrow time? Not just, an hour here or there, but, like, actual years added onto your life.
Like a loan from time.
Exactly. But instead of paying it back with interest, what if you could trade it, buy it, sell it? We're diving into a wild debate about whether we should be able to buy and sell time itself, lifespan trading.
Whoa, okay. Where is this even a discussion?
So it popped up on this Chinese debate show called You Can You BB. They get into some really intense philosophical topics.
Oh, right. I've heard of that. It's like their version of...
A supercharged philosophy slam.
Yeah, exactly. High-stakes thinking.
Yeah.
So they're debating a lifespan marketplace, did you say?
It's a total mind bender, right? They're trying to figure out if this would be a utopia or straight up dystopian. Like, imagine that for a sec, this tech actually exists. Would you be down to trade some of your years for, say, $1 million? Or to get more time with someone you love?
Okay, see, now you're getting into it. That's heavy stuff to just imagine. Suddenly we're putting a price tag on something I don't even know, essential to being human.
Right. It's uncomfortable, but that's what makes this debate so fascinating. So we dug into some of the arguments, and you'd be surprised how many people are actually pro-lifespan trading.
Really? I feel like my brain's going to short circuit. Pro. Why?
One big argument is that it could help us live longer.
Wait, how does that...
Okay, so imagine someone's nearing the end of their life. They've lived it. They're content. They could give their remaining years to someone who's, say, battling a terminal illness. Or, give a young family more time together.
Huh. So it's like organ donation, but with time. That's wow.
Yeah, one of the debaters made this super powerful point. They were like, imagine your loved one needs some life-saving treatment, but it's just way too expensive. Wouldn't you give up anything, even years of your own life, to get more time with them?
Oh, man, now that is hitting where it hurts. You're right. That's a compelling argument, even if it's a heartbreaker.
Definitely tugs at the heartstrings. But it's not just those big life or death situations. Some folks think this tech could actually make us happier overall by giving us more control over, well, our lifespans.
More control? How so?
Think about it. We trade time for money every day at our jobs, right? This just takes it a step further. Craving that dream vacation, finally chasing your passion project but need the cash, boom, sell a couple of years. Or flip it around, got loads of time but your bank account's looking sad, cash in some years for financial security.
So it's like this. Radical freedom of choice. You get to align your time with what you value most. I can see the appeal, but...
There's a but, for sure.
Yeah, a big one. This feels like opening up a whole can of ethical dilemmas that we might not be ready for.
Exactly. And that's where the arguments against lifespan trading get a lot more intense. Like, think about the logistics, the ethics of it all. How do you even begin to prevent scams or stop people from being exploited?
Ooh. Yeah, like, could you imagine bosses pressuring people to sell years for a promotion? Or, even worse, to keep from getting fired?
Right. Total Black Mirror episode waiting to happen. But even putting aside those dystopian scenarios for a sec, critics say this whole concept misses the point of time itself.
How do you mean?
It's not just about how many years you rack up, it's about how you live them, right? Those experiences you have, how you grow as a person, even just random encounters that shape who you become. One debater said, what if you sell the year you were meant to meet your soulmate?
Whoa. Okay, that one hit me. Makes you think about all those little moments, the ones you don't think are a big deal, but they change everything.
Totally. And it goes even deeper than that. Another person argued that the value of your life isn't about how long you're around, but how much meaning it has. They'd rather live a shorter life that's full of passion, really lived, than a long, drawn-out one that felt empty.
It's like quality over quantity, but for your entire lifespan. Makes you think about what you truly value. Are there things you wouldn't sell, no matter the cost?
100%. And even if we ignore the existential crisis for a moment, there's still the very real issue of fairness. This is where it gets really interesting, because we have to look at the big picture, the societal impact.
Right, like wouldn't this just make the gap between the rich and the poor even wider?
Exactly. Critics are worried about extreme wealth disparity. Like, what if the super rich could just buy their way into living for centuries? You'd have this permanent underclass struggling to afford a few extra decades while the wealthy just keep accumulating more wealth and power.
Ugh, that's a whole other level of inequality. It wouldn't just be a gap between the haves and have-nots. It'd be a chasm of time itself.
That's a lot to unpack, right?
It really is.
Yeah.
And it's not even just about the whole lifespan gap between the rich and poor. It makes you wonder, what happens to our values if we treat time like it's just another thing to be bought and sold?
Right. Like, are we messing with something we shouldn't be? If someone can just buy more time, does that cheapen everything else? Hard work, perseverance, even just the value of life itself.
That's a huge part of the argument against this, yeah. It challenges how we see inherent worth. Say you spend a year volunteering, making a real difference.
Mm.
That's powerful, right? But then imagine if you could just buy that year instead.
Hmm.
Does it feel different? Is it less valuable?
It's like saying, yeah, I could have helped build houses for people, but I just paid my way out of it instead. Definitely feels kind of off morally.
Exactly. So are there things that just shouldn't be part of this whole system? Love, purpose, connecting with others, learning. Can you put a price on those without losing what makes us human?
Now we're getting philosophical, but really, this lifespan marketplace thing brings it front and center. No easy answers there.
Nope. And that's what's so gripping about this whole debate. It's not just sci-fi anymore. It's about what this text says about us, our values, fears, what we want the future to be.
Okay, so we've talked about people maybe living longer, the ethics of it all, exploitation, inequality. But let's say, just for the sake of argument, this does happen, it becomes real. What would we have to do to make it even a little bit okay? Safeguards, rules, something to prevent that dystopian nightmare.
That's the million-dollar question, right? If we even think about a lifespan marketplace, it needs serious, serious thought. And regulations, tons of them. We're talking a global thing to oversee it all, make sure it's fair, everything's out in the open.
So, like a whole new world order just to handle buying and selling years?
Pretty much. It's
Yeah.
not just going to be a website where you trade years like stocks. We need rules about age. Can a teenager trade away their future like that? What if someone's not in the right mind? Can they be pressured?
Mm.
We need laws to stop that kind of abuse.
Man, my head's spinning just thinking about it. And we haven't even touched on the money side. How do you even put a price on a year? Fixed rate? Or does it change like the stock market?
All huge questions. And then what about using lifespan as collateral, like loans, debts? Imagine your lifespan being part of that negotiation. That's dark.
Super dark. Seems like for every good thing about this tech, there's a whole mess of ethical and logistical problems. Makes you wonder, can we even do this without it going bad?
That's the debate, not just in China, but everywhere people are thinking about the future. No easy answers, but it makes us ask the big questions. What's life worth? What does time even mean? And what kind of future are we making?
Makes you think about that saying, with great power comes great responsibility, right? If we can control how long we live for, we better be really careful about it.
Absolutely. This could be amazing for humanity, or it could ruin us. There's a lot riding on it.
Okay, so we've covered a ton. Mind-blowing stuff, scary stuff. But let's bring it back down to earth for a sec. Think about us right here, right now. This whole buying and selling years thing. It's got me wondering, like, what if it was real right now? Would it just be another thing, like, oh, new tech, just like smartphones or whatever? Or would it feel different, like we're crossing a line?
That's the question, isn't it? Individually, as a society, we'd have to figure that out. Would it feel different to you if someone bought their way out of a deadly disease compared to, say, getting an organ donation? Where's that line between amazing progress and, things getting really messed up?
For sure. It's a tough one. And this whole debate really shows how we take time for granted. We think it'll just keep going. But hearing those people talk about trading years away, maybe their most important years, it makes you realize it's precious and there's only so much of it.
And that's why these conversations are so important. We can't just ignore this stuff and pretend it's not going to maybe happen. We've got to think about it, talk about it, really look at what this tech could do, good or bad. It's not about being anti-progress. It's about making sure progress helps everyone.
So it's bigger than just, can we do this? It's like, what kind of world are we making?
Absolutely. It starts with those tough questions.
Yeah.
Where do we draw the line? What matters enough to not compromise? How do we balance what individuals want with what's good for everyone? These are the things we have to figure out if we want tech to help us without, losing what makes us human.
Makes you think. So to everyone listening, we'll leave you with this. If this tech existed today, what would make you feel even a little bit okay with it? Safeguards, rules, some kind of ethical guidebook? What would it take?
Because the future gets here faster than we expect, and the time to think about this is now. This is just the beginning of the conversation.
That's right. And we're definitely going to keep thinking about it. Thanks for joining us for another deep dive. Until next time, keep those brains buzzing.